Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nishtiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Lankhayate Girim Yatrupathamaham Vande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Iswaram Namo Krishna Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Dinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Bhaschatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Madhegabandho Matsangin Madguru Amat Mahadana Staragamat Bhagyamadhananda Namostute. So we are continuing our overview of the Srimad Bhagavatam chapters, and today we shall go through the 8th chapter of the 4th canto. The 8th chapter is about one of the descendants of Swayambhu Manu, a very famous descendant of Swayambhu Manu. His name is Dhruva. So we are entering the section of Dhruva Charitra in the Srimad Bhagavatam. From the 8th chapter of the 4th canto onwards, Dhruva Charitra begins. So in this section, Maitreya Muni, in the beginning of this chapter, very briefly, he also discusses the lineage of adharma, because although discussion is going on about all the positive things, it is also necessary to know the other side of the coin. So very briefly, in 5 shlokas, Maitreya Muni speaks about the lineage of adharma and how that is. And then he moves on to the sons of Swayambhu Manu and the grandson of Swayambhu Manu. So that is how this discussion carries on. So Maitreya Muni says, many sons of Brahma, including the Kumaras, Narada, Rubhu, Hamsa, Aruni, and Yati, did not get married and became Naishtika Brahmacharis, Urdhva Retasaha. So first he spoke about the Brahmachari sons of Brahma, like Kumaras, Narada, Rubhu, Hamsa, Aruni, and Yati. And Srila Prabhupada says that Grihastha or Griha, Grihastha means one who is managing a Griha, and the Griha necessarily means patni, that is wife. So when somebody says graha, it is not that simply it is a house. It actually a house with a wife. That is a graha. Because a brahmachari also may be living in a house, but that does not become a graha because there is no wife involved. So these people, they simply became Naishtika brahmachari, so they have no graha. And then Maitreya Muni describes the lineage of adharma. The lineage of religion, there is a natural combination of maithuna, that is sex life. So first there is adharma and mrisha, religion and falsity. And from them came damba and maya, bluffing and illusion. From them came lobha and nikriti, that is greed and cunningness. From them came krodha and himsa, that is anger and envy. And from that came kali and durukti, quarrel and harsh speech. And then from that came mrityu and bhiti, that is death and fear. And from that came yatana and niraya, excessive pain and hell. So this is how the lineage of adharma came. And then Maitreya says this is the description of the causes of pratisarga or destruction. And one who hears this description 3 times attains punyam, piety, and washes off his sinful contamination. Vidhunot yatmano malam. So if you simply read the first 5 slokas of the 8th chapter of the 4th canto, you will get the Falashruti, which is attaining piety, punyam, and also vidhunot yatmano malam. That it washes off the sinful contamination. The description is purifying because by hearing about the causes of destruction, one feels hatred for them and avoids them and thus advances in cleansing the heart. So understanding about how irreligion, falsity, bluffing, illusion, greed, cunning, anger, envy, violence, quarrel, harsh speech, death, fear, excessive pain, and hell are all interlinked. One will take the necessary precaution to stay away from them. And now, having described this, Maitreya is once again eager to describe the activities of a very pious king, Dhruva Maharaj. So, Maitreya says, now I shall describe the descendants of Swayambhu Manu, who were born of a part of the plenary expansion of the Lord and produced parts of the Lord like Kapila, Yajna, Prithu, and Rishabha. So these are all partial incarnations of the Lord that came through this lineage. So Swayambhu Manu's 2 sons, Uttanapada and Priyavrata, they are both Vasudevasya Kalaya. They were both Kalas of the Supreme Lord. And therefore they were competent to rule the universe, to maintain and protect the citizens. So they were born of the Lord's expansion and themselves expansions of the Lord and produced expansions of the Lord like Kapila, etc. So that is Uttanapada and Priyavrata. So about Uttanapada only we will be seeing in this canto, and later the discussion will continue about Priyavrata. So we will see that when we come to that. So this Maharaja Uttanapada, he had 2 queens, Suniti and Suruchi. Names are very self-illuminating. Suruchi and Suniti. And naturally Suruchi, the king had more ruchi for Suruchi. And Suniti was, Niti is always neglected. So Suniti was the neglected wife and Suruchi was the wife who was dear to the king. And Dhruva Maharaj happened to be the son of Suniti. Maitreya wanted to immediately discuss about Dhruva. Therefore, he avoided discussing Priyavrata first. Although Priyavrata is the elder brother of Uttanapada, he started discussing about Uttanapada and his lineage because he immediately wanted to speak about Dhruva Maharaj. So one day, Uttanapada was sitting on his throne, and his big throne in his room. And at that time, Suruchi's son Uttama was playing on the lap of the king. So Dhruva Maharaj at that time is a 5-year-old boy. So he's seeing his father, and the natural affection, he's saying father is put his brother on the lap. So he also runs to the father and wants to sit on the father's lap. Although king was very equally affectionate to Uttama and Dhruva, the king was not welcoming Dhruva to sit on his lap because he was very attached to Suruchi, and he knew that if he allows Dhruva to sit on his lap, that will displease the favorite wife. So, although he had same Vatsalya, but he could not express it. See the condition of the king, even though he is the son of Swayambhu Manu, this is what happens. So, seeing this, she became very, very irritated. Who? Suruchi. And she was very proud. So, while the king was listening, she was telling Dhruva that because although you are the son of the king, because you did not take birth from my womb, you don't deserve to sit on your father's lap. And because you're a child, you don't know that you are born of somebody else's womb. So therefore, because you are not born of my womb, you cannot. Your desire to sit on your father's lap is impossible to fulfill, she says. Durlabherthe manoratha. It is very, very near impossible for you to sit on your father's lap. But you still desire to sit on the king's lap, then you better go and do tapasya. Tapasyaradhya purusham. She says, you go and offer some tapasya to the Supreme Lord, and after satisfying the Lord, you can place yourself in my womb. Practically, she is telling Dhruva, you go and die, and pray to Lord that you are born again in my womb so you can sit on your father's lap. So although Dhruva was only 5 years old, he was by nature a Kshatriya, and he became very, very aggrieved. He was very hurt, It says that he was like a snake hit by a stick, So he became very aggrieved. He was crying and he ran to his mother because in spite of hearing all this, his father was Mauni Baba, did not open his mouth, did not react, nothing. So he knew now the only saving grace is the mother. So he runs to the mother. So by this time, the servant maids had gone and informed Suniti that Dhruva is crying, he is coming to you because this lady spoke like this, and the father kept quiet. So Suniti already, she is in an aggrieved condition because she is a neglected wife now, because the other wife has gained the attention and attraction of the king. So now she is the neglected wife. So she puts her son on her lap and she's giving him a listening ear. Okay, this is what the other mother said. And so she started also crying because she had nothing else to do except to cry and express her distress because she had no power. And she thought, there is no solution in my power to give this boy. So first she says, being the good mother that she is, she says that, please do not wish ill for others. Because somebody inflicts pain on others, they will feel the same pain. So she says, don't wish ill for them, because she knows that immediately Dhruva's reaction would be that they should be punished. And she says, whatever your other mother Suruchi has told, it is very true. Why? Because your father does not even treat me as a maidservant. Yes, completely neglected. And she is right. You are born in the womb of an unfortunate woman. And you have grown up on her milk, so your misfortune has increased. So you do one thing, Aradhya Adhokshaja Padapadmam. So you simply worship the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Vimatsara, without envy. That is, if you want to sit on the throne along with your stepbrother, along with your father, you simply worship the lotus feet of the Lord. Yasyangri Padmam Paricharya. By doing Paricharya to the Angri Padmam, the lotus feet of the Lord, Brahma, your great-grandfather, he got qualifications to create this universe. Manu, your grandfather, achieved material happiness, and later on, he got liberation also. So all these things happened because they worshipped the lotus feet of the Lord. So you do one thing, you take shelter of the Lord who is Bhaktavatsala. And everybody who wants liberation are always worshipping his lotus feet. So first, you fix the Lord in your heart and you become purified by bhakti and engage in a service without deviation. Tameva Vatsaryashraya Vrityavatsalam Mumukshubir Mrigyapadabjabadhidam Padhatim Ananya Bhave Nijadharma Bhavite Manasyavastapya Bhajasva Purusham. So this is the instruction given by Mother Suniti to Dhruva Maharaj, that you first worship the lotus feet of the Lord. Tameva Vatsashraya Bhritya Vatsalam Mokshubir Mrigya Padabja Padhati Ananya Bhave Nijadharma Bhavite Manasyavastapya Bhajasva Purusham. That Purusha, that Supreme Lord, you do bhajana for him. You simply worship him. Because Lord is Bhritya Vatsalam. He is very, very munificent, affectionate towards his Bhritya servant. So, more than me, mother, can show you affection, the Lord can show affection. And she says that, she's giving the right instruction that even a small boy, 5-year-old boy, can purify himself by bhakti. And as soon as one puts the Lord in his heart, everything will become easy, everything will be successful. Nanyam tada padma palashalochanat dukkhachiddham te mrigyami kanchana yo mrigyate hastagrihida padmaya sriyetarer anga vimugrayam naya. He says, other than that Lord, nobody else can extinguish your distress. Padma Palasha Lochana, the lotus-eyed Lord, Dukkha-chidam, that is, he alone can cut. He alone can extinguish the fire of dukkham that you are going. Look at that Lord. Suniti is saying that Yo mrigyate hastagrihida padmaya shriyetarer anga vimurgyamanaya. That is, Lakshmi Devi, who is holding a lotus in her hand, is also always serving him. So that Lord you worship, and he is the one who can mitigate your desire. So accordingly, Dhruva, he takes his mother's instructions to heart. And he controlled his mind by his intelligence and he left his house. Now, see the Lord's arrangement. Narada Muni hears about this and he comes to Dhruva. And as soon as he meets Dhruva, he puts his hand on his head. And he is telling himself, how wonderful are the Kshatriyas, They cannot tolerate even a slight infringement on their prestige. He is just a small child and the harsh words from his stepmother has made him so serious that he has walked off from his house. And Prabhupada says, this happened in Suniti's room in Uttanapada's palace. And how does Narada come to know about this? So Prabhupada says, Narada Muni is Trikalagya. And he knows everybody's heart like the super soul. And as soon as the Lord understands that a living entity is very determined and serious to start devotional service, the Lord will immediately send his representative. So it is by the Lord's arrangement, Narada Muni understands the requirement of Dhruva and he comes there. So you see how the entire thing becomes arranged by the mercy of the Lord, how the Lord identifies the requirement of the living entity and gives him. Normally, when we speak it as a principle that, Guru is sent by the Lord, that's a principle. And in practice, we see it here in Dhruva Charitra, how Narada Muni appears in front of Dhruva and gives him instructions. So Narada Muni first advises Dhruva. He says, don't be affected by honor and dishonor. At your age, you should simply be attached to playing only. You should be attached to playing only. Because you understand what is insult and what is dishonor. That is why you have taken offense at it. At the age of 5, you have that much understanding. So you should also understand that this is destined due to one's karma. And he says that dissatisfaction is happening also, it is due to karma. And because of one's moha. So, as an intelligent person, you should be satisfied with whatever that comes, whether it is favorable or unfavorable. Understanding it to be Devopasadita. It is all ordained by Deva, by the Supreme Lord. So, although Narada Muni has come to give mantra diksha to Dhruva, which we will see, but initially is testing Dhruva, by saying that you be peaceful, it is very difficult to please the Lord, and that process taught by your mother, by which it is very, very difficult to please the Lord. Many yogis have failed to understand. So give up your endeavor. It is not going to be successful. When you grow up, maybe, you can try. Because normally, see, the standard system is what, even in the Vedic system, standard is that one goes through brahmacharya, then grihastha, then vanaprastha sannyasa. So when one matures enough, then one moves to the forest and starts exclusively meditating on the Supreme Lord in order to realize him, to realize oneself, to realize the Lord, and then, upon leaving the body to go to the Lord's abode. So that is the graded system that is given. But here, 5-year-old, you are now trying to, you are saying that you want to see the Lord, you want to please the Lord, by purifying yourself and by bhakti yoga practice, you want to, please the Lord and get something from the Lord, etc., etc. So those are things that are very difficult to attain. So you better be peaceful. He says that you have to endure the conditions that are, that you have to face due to the will of providence. Yasya yad deva vihitam satena sukha dukkhayo atmanam toshayan dehi tamasa paramrichati. So he says that you can cross over this tamas only if you endure all kinds of situations. Sukha, dukkha, everything, if you take it as deva vihitam, only then you can cross over. Can cross over. And then he says, Guna Athikan Mudam Lipset Anukrosham Gunadhamat Maitrim Samanadan Vichen Nataper Abhiduyate. When you see a more qualified person, you should rejoice. When you see a less qualified person, you should feel compassion. When you see an equally qualified person, you should be friendly. Natape abhibhuyate. If you follow this, you will always remain free from the threefold miseries. This is how Narada is advising Dhruva. Don't be envious seeing somebody who is more advanced. Don't feel contempt when you see somebody who is anukrosham, less qualified. When you see somebody equally qualified, don't compete, but be friendly. That way, you can always remain free from threefold misery. So, Narada is advising Dhruva that you do all these things and be peaceful. Because this is what is destined, you take it like that and you be. So, Dhruva's reply, he says that, thank you very much, Maharshi. You have given me very good instruction. But as you know, my Kshatriya temperament does not allow me to be very submissive. And my heart, which has been pierced by the harsh words of Suruchi, they are not, your instructions does not find space in my heart. Therefore, I want that most exalted position in the three worlds, which is not even attained by my forefathers, including Brahma. So, my dear sir, can you advise me an honest path to achieve this? And he says, you are traveling entire universe playing your veena simply for the benefit of all the living entities. So, advise me for my benefit. Dhruva is requesting like that to Narada Muni. So, hearing this, Narada Muni became very, very pleased, and he had so much anukampa. So he told that, yes, you must perform bhakti yoga to Lord Vasudeva, just as your mother described, and that is the only way. Hare Pada Sevanam. Worshipping the Lord's lotus feet is the only method even for achieving dharmartha kama moksha. So even one wants the four purusharthas, the best way is to do Pada Sevanam of the Lord. So he says, go to Madhuvan on the bank of Yamuna, where the Lord is always residing, and you become purified. You practice Ashtanga Yoga, bathing 3 times a day in the auspicious Yamuna Ji, and follow Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, and Rechaka, Puraka, Kumbhaka, controlling all the airs, and then performing Pratyahara. That way, become free from all material contaminations, and then meditate upon the Lord. Manasa Guna Guru. That is Dharana and Dhyana. And then the next so many verses, Narada Muni describes the form of the Lord for meditation. So once again, we get a very clear understanding that this entire dhyana is meant to be, meditation means it is meant to be meditated upon the Supreme Lord's form only. So Narada Muni is explaining that form of the Lord who is always prepared to offer costless mercy. That Lord who has a joyful glance and a face that is always joyful, Mantahasa, who has a beautiful nose and eyebrows, beautiful forehead, more beautiful than all the devatas, youthful with attractive limbs, lips and eyes like rising sun, shelter of the surrendered, transcendently pleasing in all respects, worthy of surrender, and a notion of mercy, bearing the Srivatsa mask, mark on the chest, blue in complexion, Purusham Vanamalinam, wearing a Vanamala, Shankachakra Gadapadmer, Abhivyakta Chaturbhujam, has forearms, Kiridinam, Kundalinam, Keyura Valayanvitam, Kaustuba Varanagrivam, Pita Kauseya Vasasam, Kanchi Kalapa Paryastam, Lasat Kanchana Nupuram, Darshaniyatamam, Shantam, Mano Nayanavardhanam, that is pleasing to the eyes and the mind, Mano Nayanavardhanam, Darshaniyatamam Shantam, most Darshaniyam, Tamam, Darshaniya Tamam, the best, the perfect one to see means that is the Lord. Padbhyam Nakhamani Shrenya Vilasadbhyam Samarchatam Padma Karnikadishnyam Akramatyam Nyavastitam. So he is situated in the heart and the buddhi of the Jiva, this Lord. With jewel-like nails, lotus feet glittering, he stands on the wall of the lotus of the heart of one who worships him. So that Padma or that lotus, which is our heart, the wall of that lotus stands the Lord in his form that the yogi meditates on. So he says, Smayamanam abhidyate abhidyayet sanugrava nityenaika bhutena manasa varadarshapam. So Varadarshapam, the one who is the greatest benedictor. You know, Varada means one who gives vara, one who gives benedictions. So that supreme benedictor, the one who gives topmost benedictions. Among all the benefactors, the one who is supreme. So you constantly meditate on the smiling face of that Lord who is in this form. And evam bhagavato rupam subhadram dhyayato manaha nirvritya paraya turnam sampannam nanivartate. By meditating on the Lord like this, one becomes freed from all material contamination, nivrityaya, enriched with the highest bliss, paraya sampannam, and never deviated from it. So what is the result of meditation? We become purified, we get the highest bliss, and we are never deviated from it. Along with the meditation, Narada Muni advises Dhruva to chant the Dwadashakshara mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And Narada Muni chants that mantra in the right ear of Dhruva. And he says, worship the Lord's physical form with this mantra and other various paraphernalia according to time, place, and the prescribed methods. So it is normally confused that how is this mantra, which is a confidential mantra, that is given so openly in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So the answer to that is, this mantra, if it is received from the mouth of the Guru, it has effect. It has to be received from a Guru. Otherwise, anybody can chant, but it will not have the same effect as receiving it from a Guru. And because this is a mantra that starts with Om, Pranava Omkara. So that has to be received through the authority only. And it is a mantra that has been chanted according to its rules and regulations. So, how is the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra different? Because there is no Om in the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So that is why it does not have any rule also. All mantras starting with Pranava Omkara has rules. You can't simply chant it in the midnight, lying on the bed and all those things you cannot do. You have to follow the rules and regulations that are associated with the mantra. But Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, that is why Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is freely available for everyone. It gives, benediction, the topmost benediction, even to the first time chanter. But here this is Dwadashakshara Mantra that is given by Narada Muni to Dhruva. So on Narada Muni's instruction and empowerment, Dhruva is chanting. And then Narada Muni speaks about the various ingredients of worship: pure water, garlands, fruits, flowers, vegetables, even fresh leaves, freshly grown grass. All those things, Narada Muni says, according to time, place, and circumstance, you can offer to the Lord. And he says, you should also control your mind and your speech. Be very peaceful. Be satisfied with eating whatever is available in the forest. Meditate on the Lord's transcendental activities in his various incarnations. Follow the footsteps of previous devotees to worship the Lord. Purva Sevitaha. Chant the Mula Mantra and mentally offer items that are unavailable to he who is not different from the mantra. So he's also saying that you chant this mantra and offer mentally, because it is not always possible to offer everything physically. So at that time, one can offer by sankalpa in the mind that, oh my dear Lord, I am offering this to you. And when it is done with that full, bhava, then actually the Lord can taste it. But it is to be understood very clearly, in the sense that, okay, from tomorrow I will not cook. I will have full bhava, and morning I will offer 21 items. Afternoon I will offer 56 items. I will simply write down and read it in my mind to the Lord. Please accept this kova, this kheer, and this, this rice and this fruit, and not like that. Whatever is available should be offered physically, and whatever is not available due to whatever reason, those can be, offered to the Lord mentally by chanting Mula Mantra and doing Sankalpa and offering. But it should be with that bhava. It should be with that bhava. We have so many instances in the Puranas where, the offering is made and it is a hot payasa, and even the Lord will burn his tongue, by accepting that hot payasam from that devotee Brahmana. So like that we see many times that devotees will offer even mentally, to serve the Lord. So Dhruva, so that is again based on Shastric injunction. We must understand. It is not some mental concoction that I can mentally offer. No, it is not a mental concoction. Now we understand that Narada Muni is in an authorized manner, Narada Muni has given it to Dhruva. Because you are in the forest, you may not be able to offer everything to your mind's full satisfaction. So then you can offer mentally. And one who thus engages in devotional service seriously and sincerely, with his mind, words, and body according to the regulative principles, the Lord who increases the ecstasy of the devotee blesses him according to his desires. So Narada Muni says, you have a certain desire, you want it fulfilled, the Lord will do it for you. And in order to achieve vimuktaye, if you want to be liberated, then you should completely become viraktaschendriya ratau. You should become completely detached to sense enjoyment and perform bhakti with bhava without cessation. Nirantara bhakti with bhava. That is required if one is looking to become liberated. So accordingly, Dhruva circumambulated Narada Muni, offered obeisances, and went to Madhuvan, which is Haresh Charana Charchitam. Madhuvan, which is decorated by the footprints of the lotus feet of Lord Hari. So he's going there. So Narada has sent off Dhruva to the forest. Now he is going to visit Uttanapada. He goes to Uttanapada and he asks, "O king, you are looking very, very, not so good. So what happened? What have you been thinking? Is there anything wrong in the way you are following Dharma, Artha, Kama?" So all these questions he is asking. So Uttanapada says, "I am in a very, very regretful condition because I was merciless, and because I am handpicked, I had to act mercilessly. And because I was handpicked, I became merciless enough to banish my son and his mother. And now he is like Anatha in the forest. He may be tired, he may be hungry, and the wolves might have attacked him." And he says, "Stri jitasya, I have been conquered by a stri, my wife. And because of that, look at me, I have become the most vile, asat tama," he calls himself. Asat tama, uttama, no? Asat tama. That means most asat person I have become. My poor son came to me and I did not even put him on my lap. So that is how much regretful Uttanapada is now after Dhruva left the palace. So then Narada Muni, he consoles Uttanapada. He says that, "Don't worry, I have met your son. And I can assure you that he is very well protected by the Lord. And currently, nobody knows his greatness." Whose greatness? Dhruva. Because very soon he is going to become world famous. And Narada Muni being Trigalagnya, he knows, including his father, Uttanapada, nobody knows. His mother, Suniti, they don't know. All they know is that the small child has gone to the forest. Beyond that, they don't know. But Narada Muni, he knows. He says, "Even Devatas will not be able to do things that your son is going to achieve. And very soon, don't worry, he will return back and your reputation will be spread far and wide." How? Because even today, everybody speaks about Uttanapada as the father of Dhruva. So how does the son spread the name of the father? By son doing so many good things, he spreads the fame of his father as well. So Uttanapada lost all interest in running the kingdom and he started meditating solely on Dhruva. And in Madhuvana, Dhruva, as instructed by Narada Muni, he takes bath in the Yamuna and then starts meditating. He starts fasting. And first month, he was taking only some fruits and berries every 3 days. Second month, he was taking dry grass and leaves every 6 days. Third month, he was taking water every 9 days. Fourth month, he was only breathing air every 12 days. So now you know why Narada Muni told him that first you practice Ashtanga Yoga. Because you have to take air only once in 12 days. You should have complete control over your, Kumbhaka, Rechaka, Samanavayu, everything should be completely under your control. Only then you can survive like this. So Dhruva is also a great yogi. You should understand that. So that way, by the 5th month, Dhruva had controlled his breath and mind and stood motionless on one foot like a pillar and meditated on the Lord's form without deviation. So this is like the best of all meditations that we see Dhruva doing. Because he's completely meditating on the form of the Lord as instructed by Narada Muni by following every instruction that is given by Narada. So don't think that somebody can become successful in doing all these things by one's own endeavor. No. It is by following the instructions of one's spiritual authority that one becomes qualified to understand, know, see the Lord, experience Him. So while this was going on, the entire three worlds started trembling. Why? Because Lord has been captured by Dhruva in his heart. By holding his breath, he has simply captured the Lord in his heart. So therefore, the three worlds began to tremble. And because he was pushing the earth with his one leg, and he is holding the Lord, who is heavier than the heaviest, his big toe itself pushed the earth down. And he has practically become one with heaviness in Lord Vishnu. And because of his full concentration, he closed all the dwaras in his body, and that way the entire three worlds started gasping for air. He is gasping for air. Why? Because he is concentrating on the Lord. Full concentration on the Lord, that means he became, Dhruva practically became the entire universe. So when he closed, the universe closed up. So immediately all the demigods, they ran to the Lord. They told that, my dear Lord, we don't know what is happening because we are unable to breathe. And you are the refuge for the entire creation. And you are the only one worthy of taking shelter. Even while going to express the most urgent request, you must notice the demigods, how they praise the Lord. Because he is Stuti Stotarana Priya. Lord is very, very happy to hear his glorification. So the demigods, the devatas, they know it. So even while putting the most urgent requisition, along with that, they also praise the Lord. So that is something very wonderful that the devatas always do. So then the Lord, he pacifies the devatas. He says, don't be worried. Nothing to worry. It is simply because my young devotee Dhruva is fully become absorbed in my thoughts. So I will now go and I will stop him, and that way all of you will be saved. So all of you can return back to your house. So that way the Lord will pacify all the devatas and send them back to their abodes. So that is how the 8th chapter of the 4th Canto gets completed here. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam Granth Raj ki jai.